My mother told stories about a place like this. A protected land with people that never have to leave, that never have to change who they were. What reason do you have to reveal your secret to the world?
I am not a woman who enjoys repeating herself. Who are you?
I have many names. My people call me Ahkukunkan. But my enemies call me Namor.
Hey, I'm Derek.
And I'm Noah, and you're listening to A Bite Of,
where we take our current favorite pop culture obsession and enjoy it one nibble at a time.
Oh my God. So much excitement. But you know why?
I know why. Do you know why?
Because it's a new episode.
Yay!
Also, new look for the podcast. If you didn't notice, I mean, it's like right there.
Yeah, I feel like this logo, it just really feels like when I freshly shave my head. I just feel shiny. Exactly.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say it. Yeah. So new logo, but new changes coming as well. We got new changes to Patreon. By the way, if you like the show, or if this is first time listening and you listen to this and you like the show, go ahead on to Patreon. Support the show, get bonus episodes, all that good stuff. Leave some reviews. Lastly, merch is going to change. All this stuff is going to change. Just keep an eye out for that. But most importantly, when you went to this episode, did you notice that there was no more seasons?
We are seasonless.
Surprise.
Sans saisons.
We have no seasons. Just like typical white people not knowing how to season anything, we did it.
We are baked white meat.
But yeah, so part of the big change, we'll get into the episode. I just wanted to lay this out there real quick. We love covering what we cover. We know you guys love what we cover, but we wanted to branch out a bit. We feel that when we do a season and we kind of just do that property, we confine ourselves a little bit.
Right. For 8 or 9 weeks at a time.
Right. And so we wanted to grow a little bit and talk about more things and not be so confined, because we like a lot of different things just like you do. So exciting things coming, more things coming.
I think that's the point, right? It's more things coming. So instead of us being in a quote season and only talking about, just as an example, since this is our last one, She-Hulk for 9 weeks, you know, it was like, oh, The Midnight Club came out,
right?
Or Cabinet of Curiosities came out, or whatever. And it was like, we didn't want to break that. But now, since we are saisonless,
yeah,
we could do what we want.
Yay!
Yahoo!
So that stuff is done. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at A Bite Of Pod. I forgot to say that. It's been a while, guys. It's been a journey since we've recorded and sat down. But what better thing to sit down and talk about than Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, the highly, highly anticipated sequel to 2018's Black Panther. Oh, man.
I have to say that I do not know if I have the emotional bandwidth to talk about this right now.
We're going to try. It's going to be one big soothing circle between us and the listeners, and we can comfort each other together and talk it out.
Like, not even just like felt emotional, like had tears and snot happening about 3 or 4 times.
100%. All right. From this moment forward, spoiler warning. If you've not seen the movie, please go watch it. Then come listen to us, because everything is a spoiler from here on out. We're gonna get a little time. Let's hear the plot a little bit, like a little summary.
Let us officially take a bite of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Reeling from her brother's death, Shuri tries to figure out what is next for her and Wakanda. Vibranium is still highly sought by other countries who are using a new machine to detect the impenetrable metal in other areas of the world. This effort is stopped by an underwater civilization led by Namor. Okoye and Shuri are tasked with finding the scientist that created the machine, who turns out to be 19-year-old Riri Williams. After a bridge battle, Shuri and Riri are taken to the capital of Namor's world, Talokan. Shuri is then rescued, but there are casualties, and Namor seeks revenge. Queen Ramonda is killed during the attack on Wakanda, and Shuri has no choice but to become their protector after synthesizing the heart-shaped herb. Driven by her own desire for vengeance, Wakanda and Talokan go to battle.
Very good. You got more and more intense with the way you were doing. I loved it. It was almost like an audiobook experience.
You know what's funny is that like my usual like sort of, like last time on whatever, it's like beepity boppity boo. This was so silly and funny. La la loo loo loo. And this is like very serious, very heavy. So I went into my I guess like movie phone announcer voice or whatever.
In a world
where there's vengeance consuming those at bat.
Yeah. So, okay. Just to get the cast list kind of out of the way. I mean, you really know who's in it. I don't think we really need to go over the entire cast list, but I did want to point out some key players that are behind the scenes that we might not know. So, director Ryan Coogler, amazing director. Also, the writers are Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert from the first Black Panther. Almost the entire creative team behind the first Black Panther came back to do this one. It showed.
Absolutely.
Amazing. And then I cannot not mention the costuming designer, Ruth Carter. We'll get more into that, but I had to say their names out there because just perfection.
Yeah, everything was just perfect.
Yeah.
The way everyone was styled was amazing.
So as the credits rolled, when it was done, you're like a feeling. What was your feeling? Like, what did you initial reaction to this spectacle of a movie, this thing that we watched?
So I was hoping that there was going to be an after credit scene because I was crying so much.
Yeah.
And they turned all the lights on.
Yeah.
So
there's only one.
Yeah. And it was amazing and exactly what we needed, but I was emotionally distraught. So I think immediately I needed time to process it, because the thing about this movie is that you're not mourning a character, you're mourning a person.
Well, you're mourning both.
But that's the thing, is that like when Tony Stark dies, yes, it's sad.
I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? But in this, both T'Challa, and Chadwick Boseman are gone. And so the movie opens with us mourning him and it ends with us mourning him. And I think that is the feeling that you're left with.
Yeah, it's a morning sandwich, but I think we
for sure
we needed it. It's one of those things that they set out to do the impossible with this movie. I mean, they could have, I know that they weren't going to. They could have easily recast it. I'm so glad they didn't, only because we've never seen or experienced anything like this before. My initial feeling after the credits was done, like I've never been in a theater that was so respectful in moments that they needed to be
100%.
And you could feel that everybody felt it.
Yes.
And I felt happy that we got this experience, but I also felt sad.
Yeah.
But it almost felt cathartic. Even just the way the movie kind of played out, it's an emotional roller coaster up and down, and it's a big spectacle because it's Marvel, but it was just interesting to see how they did this, how they pulled off almost the impossible.
Yeah.
To grieve not only a character, a cultural phenomenon, and a person.
Yeah, and I kept, like very apprehensively waiting for the CGI T'Challa to show up.
There was moments in this movie where I was like, I swear to God.
Yeah, I was like, here it comes. Yeah. Here comes his hand. Here he comes.
Yeah.
Here.
Right. His voice.
But they never did it.
Yeah, 100%.
Even in our opening scene. So our opening scene is Shuri trying to figure out a cure for this mysterious illness that has her brother so sick.
Yeah, she's using her strength, her gifts to try to save her brother instead of being by her brother's side, which was heart-wrenching. The entire opening scene, there's no warning that it starts at all. You don't get the Marvel intro until after the opening of the movie. This opening, it was hard to watch. Within the first 5 minutes, I mean, you heard sniffles throughout the entire theater. Yeah, I had to take my glasses off. They were fogging.
Emotional right now.
Right, you're right. Yeah. I mean, it's okay. Get emotional. That's what this whole thing is for.
Okay, but finish what you're saying.
I think showing that and showcasing that and not showing in this movie, they didn't show a body.
No.
That was his, which I think was extremely respectful, but it also gave weight to some of the stuff that we're seeing because Shuri wasn't with her brother when he passed. And she kept trying to get that herb, to make that herb. They don't have the herb anymore because fucking Killmonger in the last movie burned them all.
Right.
So
Right.
she's trying to 3D print some.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing, is that we can feel her panic. We can
Right.
feel her last ditch effort to try and try and try, because what Shuri does is she turns to science.
Right.
Right? And this becomes a theme throughout the movie. I felt like throughout this movie there was a lot of thoughts on opposing forces,
Mhm.
and I feel like for Shuri one of those is science versus spirituality. And
She needs numbers. She needs facts.
Exactly. And so this is the moment that we're living in.
I felt like I was very much in a Shuri. Like, that's my mindset usually. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't talk spiritual to me. I need, like, I connected with that in that aspect. So
Yeah.
I respected it.
I could see that, but it's funny because I'm the other end of that spectrum.
You're her mother.
I am. And that's the thing. I am the let's mourn, let's think of the way to connect with them still. But as she's trying, Queen Ramonda comes in and lets her know that he has passed.
The scenes that follow, the celebration of his life, the procession through Wakanda until his casket is lifted up, it's so beautiful. We're probably going to say this word over and over again, and I'm sure if you're listening to this, you agree with it. It was beautiful for a couple reasons that, I personally think, not only that we got to see the send-off for this fictional and real person, but seeing the culture, like how they do it culturally, even though it's fictitious, it's still based in real cultures.
Right. And again, here's this juxtaposition, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have Queen Ramonda and we have Shuri mourning T'Challa, but as they process, it almost seems like there's a celebration of
100%.
his life.
Yep.
Right? So it's like you don't know how to feel in this moment, and you've just seen, the Marvel intro completely silent.
Yep.
With photos and scenes of Chadwick Boseman.
It was no Avengers. There was only the one Avenger it was beautiful. I don't think a single person breathed during that Marvel intro. I didn't know that was happening at all. And then, of course, I started crying whenever I saw it. I was just like, oh my God. And the thing about, like, nothing in this seemed like it was for cheap cries.
Absolutely not.
Like, they weren't doing it like, we need to make them cry here, like, make them feel sad. It was like, you could feel that they just wanted to, like, whenever it made sense, they paid tribute to T'Challa, to Chadwick. And so good.
And sometimes all that is silence.
Right.
Is giving us the silence to watch and think and grieve.
Yeah. You can see that. So Ryan Coogler, you can see that he, like, fed his own and the public's grief into this movie. And the way that he almost infuses, it's interesting. It's a Marvel movie, so they have to in some way entangle it into what the MCU is known for. But this was one of those special cases where it was mostly self-contained. There was really no outside interference at all, aside from Allegra de Fontaine, which was setting up stuff. But I felt like the way that they were able to process all that, and they were given that opportunity to do that, was amazing.
Yeah, and something that I kept kind of like coming back to, which was maybe coming out of it a little bit, was that as I was watching these characters process this death, there's the real mourning of them as actors and colleagues and friends of Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
And those are their real emotions.
All real tears. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, all of it just seems so natural. I think this story is so interesting because it almost kind of felt Winter Soldier-y to me, in that Winter Soldier is usually separated from a lot of the Marvel stuff because it's not about a big spectacle or anything like that. That one is a CIA thriller almost. This one is like a geopolitical thriller in a way, but then you also have these opposing forces where it's like at some points you're not sure who you're supposed to be rooting for.
Agreed. Yeah,
because
yeah.
They're all right, but it's like we should be 100% rooting for Wakanda here, but like also Tenoch, I'm like, I feel for them.
Yeah. And I as I mentioned in the summary, Angela Bassett's character, Queen Ramonda, dies. And so as you're watching this war between Wakanda and Tenoch, I'm going, in my head, I'm like, yeah, no, Wakanda's got to defeat them. But then I'm also like, but I get it. But also, but they killed the queen. But also, like, white people are bad. And like,
let's talk about some like performances here. Some of the stuff that we really liked. And I want to start with Shuri. I want to go with the big guns first. I feel like out of everybody, she had the most growth. Not even just as literally a character, but as an actor.
Oh, yes, I agree.
If you think back from the small scene that she had in Infinity War, but also how the differences between how she was in the first Black Panther to this one is just astronomical. She's so much more, not just mature, but you can see the heaviness that she portrayed through the character and herself.
In the first Black Panther, she was kind of like, whiz kid sister.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Super scientist. And like, she didn't leave the lab. Like, even when she like drove the car, she was still sitting in the lab.
Right.
And like, so this one has her going out into the world. And so we open with the death of her brother, midway through the death of her mother. So this character is dealing with so much now. And again, it's those opposing forces. There's the thing that her and Queen Ramonda talk about by the side of the river. It's comfort or torment. How are you processing this grief? What are you letting it do to you?
Yeah.
And so throughout it, you see like the torment might be winning out more, but as she has to kind of come into these new shoes of being a leader, she has to figure out, well, maybe there's another side to this coin.
Yeah, even if it takes till the last second to figure out. But it's very clear that the theme of this movie is grief, loss, but also healing and what you do with that grief, especially when you're in the face of the person that caused you that grief. There's so many. Ryan Coogler does an amazing job of mixing genres and emotion and empathy and vivid tones, but also amazing action at the same time. It's very apparent that this movie was complex from the beginning, not only with behind the scenes stuff like with COVID and like all that stuff, but then having to deal with like, how do we process the emotions we're feeling, but also make it to where general audiences can sit there. This cast is phenomenal. Yes. Shuri I think she, from the beginning, she really dove into her work. She felt like she didn't know how to deal with anything. She couldn't use her gifts. She says this in the movie. The gifts that she was given weren't good enough to save her brother when she needed to. And even in the end, when she ends up creating the heart-shaped herb, you see this kind of, she didn't know how to deal with it because she ended up doing it. Why couldn't she do it when she needed to instead of later on? So it's interesting how they portrayed her as a character.
Yeah. And I also think the interesting thing about that, right, is that she ends up being able to create the heart-shaped herb from an artifact from the people that they're now fighting.
Right. But kind of the same, vibranium. The through line is the vibranium. But it was, as soon as he did hand her that bracelet, I was like, okay, this is going to be a plot device for sure.
Well, right. And I mean, I'm still kind of like questioning like why he gave her the bracelet of his mother's who passed away centuries ago.
Yeah.
But okay, he has his reasons, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think Shuri knocked it out of the park. Queen Ramonda, Angela Bassett, queen in her own right as an actor. And if she does not get nominated for anything for this movie, it's going to be a travesty. The second that she walked into that United Nations in Geneva, I was like, work.
Mama.
Yeah.
Mama.
She commands a room. She is a queen, even if she's not playing one.
And I think that she just gives that off. But I do want to talk about her arms for a second.
Oh, they're like supporting characters on their own right.
Oh, my God. I mean, just like the most gorgeous, strong biceps ever. Oh.
She's like, I may not be actually fighting, but you're going to see that I could fight you.
Exactly.
I'm going to fight you with my words first and my political games.
Yes.
And then my arms.
Yes.
Amazing. My favorite scene of her, aside from saving Riri, giving any of her speeches, honestly, when France decided to kind of do that espionage mission to go and get the vibranium from them, but then Wakandans obviously knew it was happening, capture those people. And while she's talking to them, saying, yeah, you think that you guys are able to have this material? You guys should not have this material. And this is why. Brings in those people and makes them kneel. I was like,
yeah,
holy shit.
She says something to the effect of, which I think is so true for so much of our world, is that, you're afraid of this resource, but I'm afraid of what you'll do.
What I want them to understand in the MCU, all these people that want Wakandan's resources, Wakanda has been around for a long time, longer than the United States has been founded. And have they done anything outside of their walls to anybody else?
No.
Let them have it.
They know what they're doing.
Right? Like, it's so, like, I mean, that's a thing. It's a thing. It happens. It's real. It happens in fiction. These people that try to take resources and what they do to those lands when they take those resources. I know it's a thing that happens, but it is frustrating to see. Then it doesn't just happen to the Wakandans. It happens to the people from Tenoch as well. It's just so, it's like, it's another theme that's in this, but I love how she handled it. She was like, I'm going to show you your dirty laundry. This is why, if you do it again, you're going to lose.
Right.
Perfection.
France.
Yeah.
Au revoir, bitch.
She got him.
Touche.
She got him.
Yeah.
But her final performance with Riri, when she does end up, death by drowning is terrifying to me. I think that she went out like a badass. She went out as a hero, as a queen, as a protector. She protected a young girl that had no allegiance to her at all and actually kind of started this whole thing. But it just goes to show kind of how the Wakandans treat themselves and also people in need. I thought it was a perfect send off. I wish she didn't die.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. Like, I thought the big thing was going to be, oh, maybe Riri's going to die, but she's going to get her in time. Like, the moment where she actually gets her out of the water happens off screen. So we don't really know what happened, but
she did it.
She did it.
Yeah. It was really interesting to see her navigate. Not that she doesn't know how to be a ruler, obviously. She's been a queen for a very long time. But in the absence of losing the Black Panther, of losing her son, of the elders being like, what do we do? What's going on? And all these other people telling her what to do. And she has to make those decisions. Does she help Namor's people in doing what they're asking? Do they just do what M'Baku wanted to do and just go kill him? I mean, she's like, it's all these games that she's having to play. I think ultimately she did make the right decision. She made the decisions that were best for her people and also for people not to get vibranium.
Well, yeah, and I also think though that she's actually always looking out for the greater good, isn't she? I think for her, it's about how can we settle this problem without the loss of life?
Right.
So why can't we just bring Riri to Wakanda? And then why isn't that enough for you, Namor? Why does she have to die?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And then in that moment, she's faced with that moment of, I tried to protect this girl and I'm going to lose her now. So I need to save her.
Yeah. That scene was beautifully shot, very intense. And I thought the second that you see her kind of trying to swim up and she's not moving a distance where I'm like, I don't like where this is going.
Yeah. And it's
the performances is just in that scene were so good. I think if we were to put two people, I mean, if Ramonda is the soul of Wakanda, I really think Shuri is the heart. And it's interesting to see those two forces play, not necessarily together, but seeing how their ideologies work.
Or Shuri's like the mind.
Right.
I feel like T'Challa was the heart. Ramonda was the spirit and Shuri was the mind.
And now Shuri has to be all of them.
Pretty much. And that's the thing, right? It's like her growth as a character is that every time she loses a person, she has to figure out how to fill their shoes, even though that might not come naturally to her.
Yeah. 100%. So rest in peace, Ramonda.
Yeah.
Oh, your outfits, your acting, your reign will be missed.
Supreme.
Oh my God, so good.
It's geez Louise. I mean, we lost Aunt May in Spider-Man. We lost Queen Ramonda.
Yeah, we did.
Right? We keep losing these amazing women that are like raising our heroes.
Yeah, but there are plenty of amazing women in
Who's
Wakanda.
next? Pepper Potts.
Well, I mean, probably.
She got gooped.
Yeah, I mean, she's fine. I don't think we'll ever see her
she
again.
Didn't raise Stony Clark.
She's done. Okay. Should we talk about Namor or Dora Milaje?
Let's keep it in Wakanda.
Okay. I figured you would want to do that.
Yeah.
The Dora freaking Milaje. I think I need them. I want Wakanda to have all of the TV shows and all of the movies. This movie not only expanded kind of what you see in Wakanda from what we saw in the first one, you actually got to be in the city and some of the villages and stuff like that. I want more of that. I liked how they expanded it. This movie did a lot with its ensemble cast. Everybody had their duties and everybody had their things, but it was nice to see little snippets of each thing.
Right. And I think that, within the Dora Milaje in our cast here, we have Denai Guerrera returning as Okoye. Now, interesting, Nakia.
Right.
Still Dora Milaje?
She's from a different...
Nyong'o.
Well, she's from like a different tribe.
Okay.
But she is a warrior.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then we have the addition of Anika Michaela Cole.
Yes.
Who is incredible.
Oh, I loved her so much.
Yeah. And of course, we have Ayo as well, Florence Kasumba.
That last we saw in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah.
That's right.
I just want right up. I need to mention it because I feel like I'll forget about it if I don't mention it. Ayo and, oh my God, they're gay for each other. Anika, there we go. I was like, wait, what was her name again? She's new. Sorry, guys.
I mean, they're not just gay for each other. She called her my love.
Yes. Oh, I just mean that we have LGBTQ representation in Wakanda, which is fantastic.
Because Wakanda is ahead of the rest of the world. Everybody just needs to catch up with Wakanda and just stop being ridiculous.
100%. But that was a nice facet to do. I love Michaela Cole's addition to it. I love them as an actor ever since Chewing Gum to now. Perfect. Okoye again stole all of her scenes from her growth from being just already at the top. We're like, she's going to be amazing. She can do anything she wants, to literally being stripped of her mantle and spear. I did not expect that story arc for her, especially in this movie.
I mean, there's acting. They're acting. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is okay, not to get into this whole conversation, but like Martin Scorsese's like, Marvel movies are ruining cinema. It's like, I'm sorry, if you look at Denai Guerrera's performance in this, oh my gosh.
Everybody in this gave such an amazing performance. I think that now that I'm thinking about it, most of these characters, I don't like using this word, but this is kind of how it was. Most of these characters were side characters.
Sure.
And now they're kind of at the forefront of a lot of things. So to see how much talent has always been there that we knew was there. It's not like they didn't showcase their talent, but to show like, I can run an entire series by myself. You know what I mean? Like, I felt that from every single person in this.
Okay, can I ask a question about the character of Okoye?
Yeah.
So Queen Ramonda says to her when she's stripping her of her title and her place in the Dora Milaje, she says something along the lines of, I lost my husband, I lost my son, my daughter is gone, and she gets to go visit her love easily somewhere. So did Okoye have a love at some point?
Yeah, remember he was the guy that betrayed them in the first one. He was the one with the I can't remember. I'm so sorry. I wish I could remember the names.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the other actor.
That actor from Get Out.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if they're still together, but I mean, he wasn't anywhere to be found.
Well, right. But I was just like, okay, wait, I missed something. And so, but that was the emotional stakes there.
I think, yeah, I mean, in general, even if that was pointed to a person, I think like her statement just really meant like, I have nobody.
Right.
Who am I supposed to get comfort from or go to when I need comfort? I don't have any of that. The Dora Milaje, of course, had amazing scenes in this movie, from doing espionage work to having all-out wars on the side of ships and everything like that. I think they really kind of flexed their versatility muscles and like what they can do even more than we've already seen. I do wish we saw more of Nakia. She was kind of a late entry into the movie, which was interesting. I felt like her impact, it was very big.
Yeah.
But I wish I could see more of her. She had great scenes when she was going to get Shuri and Riri. But like when they were fighting on the ship at the end, I was like, I saw 2 seconds of her fighting. I kind of wanted just a little more of her.
Yeah, I feel like in this movie in particular, she kind of was a bit of a moral compass for Shuri. Right. And so there's the thing of
she had
her
secrets too.
Indeed. Big
secrets.
Big secrets. But she left, right? She left Wakanda after Thanos. She didn't want to be there anymore. And I think we learn why,
Right.
at the end of the movie, why she wanted to feel safer someplace else, but she needed to separate herself from Wakanda.
Yeah, I loved the scene where Ramonda goes to, I guess, the school that she teaches at, or that she's at.
She's the head of.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't catch that
She's
in the movie.
Headmistress, they say.
Even better. It was interesting to see that dynamic of she's a civilian now, and she's kind of leading her own life, but the second that she hears Ramonda's voice in French, she knew immediately who it was. She like turned around, like it was just like a reflex for her. I just love seeing
it's
those.
her queen,
right? But I love seeing that. Like, I go back to the acting, like how they were able to. You got that from that. It was like, oh, she knows that it's her queen, so she's acting. It was just really good.
It's like it's that very natural reaction of, you know, you're an adult out in the real world, but when your mom calls your name, you're a child again. Yeah.
The middle name? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. They two named me. No.
Yeah. I do wish there was more of her, but I feel like you're right. She's becoming almost not this mother figure. I don't want to say that, but she's becoming support for a lot of people, and especially Shuri.
Sure. And I think an advisor.
Right.
Right? She could be part of her council.
Yeah.
Now.
I would like that and M'Baku to be just her council. Right hand and left hand. That's all you need.
Winston Duke returning as M'Baku. Listen. The people in this movie are all gorgeous.
Yeah,
okay?
100%.
And there's something to be said about this just big man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's not like Kang big, Kang the Conqueror, with like tons of muscles on
Oh,
muscles.
yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just a big
Well,
dude.
he's big, but he also has a presence about him. I mean, since this is kind of like a reviewy thing, can I just like give a critique?
Yeah.
And I don't want to like squash what you were just saying, because I think 100% agreed. Did you feel like his trajectory in the movie changed a little bit, like midway through? Like, I almost felt like he was playing like a certain type of character, or like he wasn't necessarily supposed to be as big of a part as he was. And then all of a sudden he kind of got more serious almost.
Well,
like, does that make sense?
I feel like, yes, I do. And I feel like he's a completely different character from the first movie.
Most of these people are.
But I do feel like, you know, I'm trying to think of like what happened to him. So he was, you know, in the beginning, it kind of felt like he was hot-headed, right?
Right.
Let's kill Namor. But I think as he saw people around him dying, and then he had to take responsibility for the people from, you know, Shuri's city into his city, he had to kind of think more globally. And that's why he sort of went to this place of, maybe we shouldn't just go and kill people.
I guess it's more of like the cons of having an ensemble cast is that you're not going to get like a lot, like the same amount from everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Nakia and M'Baku were they both had their great moments, but I almost wanted a little more from them, especially since they're veterans in this almost, that I just wanted just a tiny bit more.
I think I understand that feeling. For me, I feel that more with M'Baku. I felt like Nakia had a very good trajectory in this. But M'Baku...
She did have moments where we got to sit with her, especially with Okoye and Nakia, where they were sitting there before Namor's forces attacked Wakanda. That was a very nice scene. I do feel like she did get incredible scenes with some people.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, this is less about sort of the inner workings of Wakanda, where we see that we see more representation from the different tribes in the first one.
Right.
Whereas here we have the elders from the tribes, but we really don't go into the other areas as much.
Yeah, I feel like the first one kind of told you, like, this is this one, this is this one, this is this one. This one, we're kind of like, we got it almost, or like, it's not about that, which it would be interesting to see if, or when there is a third one, how that plays into everything and like where that leads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, we have to talk about Namor and the Talcons, because holy shit.
Okay.
Ruth Carter, the costume designer, blew everybody's mind with the first Black Panther. It changed how people perceived what African culture can look like, or what it's supposed to look like, using Afrofuturism inside of like modern stuff, but also playing tribute to traditional stuff. Now, throw in like Mesoamerican culture,
I just put it underwater.
But underwater, like, it's just, it blew my mind how the scenes where we learn about Namor and like his backstory, I loved it. It was probably one of my favorite scenes in the, like, just how they did it and seeing them flex their different muscles with like cultural representation, but good cultural representation. This is crazy. Like, is anybody else watching what
You know, and,
watching?
and it's what when you think about Namor, right? How he's depicted in the comics,
Right.
He's like a thin white guy,
Yeah.
Roman maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Big forehead.
and so you're thinking like, oh, how do we get to Namor,
Mhm.
right? From a city that's called Telucan,
Mhm.
and he's based on a god called Kulkalkan. I don't know how deep we want to get into the lore
Go ahead.
of Namor. So his mother, when she was pregnant with him, basically her people were dying of smallpox, which was brought to them by the Spaniards.
Right.
So their shaman has a vision of a glowing plant underwater. He mixes it up. They drink it. They get gills. They go into the water.
They get gills.
They get gills. They
Blue.
go into the water. The thing is, though, is that he is born basically like half
Whatever.
half human,
Telecon and
right?
yeah.
And so he can breathe above water. He can breathe underwater, and basically he is their god. He is the feathered serpent god. So we're like, okay, we're still in Mesoamerican. His mom wants to be buried on land. He goes up there. He sees that his former people have been enslaved by the Spaniards. So what does he do? He burns it to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, to see that, not only surprise, he's like been around since the 16th century, which I was like, whoa.
Little Namor.
Yeah, holy shit. But this scene did a lot for the character because it showed why he mistrusts the surface world,
Mm-hmm.
and basing all that history on enslavement, infection, persecution, anything like that. I mean, it's just, but he dealt with it in the way he should have. But it was tragic almost that whatever world he thought was going to be up there wasn't what he came to.
Because his mother is telling him, I want to be buried there.
And it's like, this is where you want to
Right.
go. And so they go right back to where they were. I mean, mistrust completely. They
Right.
kind of seclude themselves almost.
Absolutely.
Just
they
like the
have to,
Wakandans.
because they know that this is what will happen.
Right.
They will come, they will destroy them. But as they are burning this place to the ground, this guy who's he's just
Oof.
about to kill calls him the child with no love, no amor. And that is the name that he took, Namor.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so good. That is so clever.
Can I tell you, I loved it. So the Namor's been around since like 1930s. He's been around for a very long time. Bill Everett, the dude that came up with the character's name, he spelt Roman backwards, and like that's how he came up with Namor. And it was like the character's very confusing because he almost just like mixed like Greek and like Roman
Right.
stuff.
Well, they're Atlantis, right? They're based in Atlantis.
Right. So it's like the character itself in the comics is very convoluted. It doesn't really make sense. They made this character not only seem completely believable, but I'm sorry, made the character better. I mean, it was
The
like,
depth.
right.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't give a shit about the Romans. They have enough story. You know what I mean? They have enough stories. They have all that stuff. It's like the fact that they could not only be like, oh, we're going to place it in this culture's mythology and made it make sense. It was just so good.
Yeah. And Tenoch Huerta just kills this role. I mean, he is Namor.
Introducing.
Yeah.
It's so good. I want to say, and I'm going to say this, you could quote me on whenever, he is in top 2 best villains in the entire MCU. He is so good. He's that good.
But that's the thing, right? Is that you're sitting there going, this is the villain, but is this the villain, right?
Yeah, I've said this many times. I love a complicated
sure
character.
do.
I love a villain that you can understand why they're doing the things, but also kind of be like, I agree with you. Like,
Yeah.
he checked all the boxes. This is how the character, the best of the character, is in the comics. You don't know if you can trust them or not. Sometimes they'll like help you out for some reason, but then they'll stab you in the back the next. They hit the dynamic complete. I'm loving this type of Namor. I want that type. Like, you're not sure. It's not an anti-hero really, because they're royalty and they have their own stuff going on. I don't know. It's just it's so layered. It's complicated.
And I think the thing is, though, is that he is able to see the similarities between his civilization and Wakanda.
Yeah.
And that's why he...
Land and water.
Right.
Yeah.
Hello, again, the opposing forces.
They
Land
both have
versus
vibranium.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is that that's why he takes Shuri down there.
Yeah.
He's like, look, look at these people. Doesn't this mirror what your world looks like?
That scene made me feel so many things. I was confused in the best ways.
Okay.
I didn't know if they were going to kiss, if they were going to join an alliance, if they were going to start punching each other. I was like, this is crazy.
It's that thing,
Like-
though. Oh, my gosh. It's... Okay, this is a critique I have.
Okay.
Are you ready?
This
Okay, so I don't know if this
Just
is...
say it.
I don't know if this is necessarily the movie or the theater we were in, but a lot of the dark water scenes, I felt like it was hard to see stuff.
It was the theater.
Yeah?
So this is kind of like, doesn't matter, I guess, really in the grand scheme of things. But for us, our viewing experience, one of the lights for a good 45 minutes of the movie was completely on the top right. So everything on the right side of the screen looked a little more gray. But then when they finally turned all the lights off, the blue lights from the aisle and stuff were really bright for some reason. And it still kind of washed out some of
Yeah.
the stuff. Because when I walked to go use the restroom, I usually never use the restroom during a movie, but I was like, I have to. And so when I was coming back up, the screen looked perfect. And I think it's because of the angle that I was at. And I was like, oh,
So
you
that's the bummer
suck.
for us, because the thing is that so much of this movie takes place in water.
I mean, unless comment below, like, was it dark for you?
Oh, good. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I guess I can't really speak for everybody. It was just our screen.
I'm ready to blame our movie theater
Yeah.
and not the actual movie. But
Get
that
our
was just one
movie
thing.
money
because
back.
I wanted to be immersed in those
Yeah.
moments, but sometimes I couldn't really tell what was going on.
Yeah.
So that was sort of hard to deal with. But anyway, sorry, that was an aside.
Yeah. I
I-
mean, I think it's valid.
I just, and I think going into this movie, I mean, we're seeing this like very handsome man in a tiny little bathing suit thing. People were crazy about Tenoch Huerta, like
Yeah.
from the moment it was revealed that he was Namor. And I think that hype was
Completely solidified.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's interesting with the character or an actor like them. It's not even like they're a very handsome person, but like it's the way they deliver their lines. Like there's so much that character. They can be menacing and also like, are you about to kiss me?
Well,
Like-
there also was that moment, right? So they're having this very serious conversation, he and Shuri. And what I'm guessing is like the plateau before the water where they bring people,
Oh, right.
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
because it's not underwater, but she's like, can I see it? And he's like, you can go down there, but it'll crush your bone. And then he's like, but we have a suit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like,
But don't worry.
exactly.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the way he like kind of, it's almost like he has to talk like that. It's like very like emperor first and then like, okay.
Right.
But there was very special moments. I think I love that he told Shuri the story. I think he was trying to give an olive branch, trying to show them that Wakanda and Talokan are very much similar because they are.
Mhm.
And it just happens that both places have vibranium, which is, I guess, not without reason. That's the point.
And that's also a big deal for Wakanda.
I mean, oh my God. The fact that there's two places with vibranium is terrifying. We saw with the whole ship that when they used Riri's technology to find that there was vibranium somewhere, that entire scene, terrifying. So good.
I love the idea of them being sirens and luring people to their death through song.
You know what's sad is that DC had the opportunity to do like a horror movie like that. Because that part felt very like horror-y, like what is going on? This is terrifying.
It was like a better version of M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening.
100%.
You know, when people just like turn on a dime and then go to kill them.
It's so good. So Aquaman, the trench, those like weird creatures in that movie, there was going to be a whole spin-off. It was going to be a horror movie. James Wan was going to do it. It was going to be the trench. They had the opportunity to do something like that. Scratch that. It's not happening. But now I want a horror movie based on like something like that.
But that's the thing, is that I feel like Namor could have his own movie now.
Oh, they need to sign, like, don't let him go. Like, you need to sign him, get that contract, beef it up, give him whatever he wants. Like,
Yeah.
give him his stuff. Like, he needs it 100%.
And I think there's a lot to play with as far as Talokan is concerned, because Namora, right, is there, and I feel like she's not too happy.
So it's in the comics, Namora is almost exactly like Namor. She has wings on her feet, everything like that. Their love interest. obviously Namor, Namora. It's not clear in the movie if they are. You kind of get a sense that they're very close.
Yes.
Or like right hand, very trusted. I'm worried about Atuma.
Mm-hmm.
That dude in the comics, one is a big enemy to Namor. He was friends first, then became enemy. He's very bloodthirsty. He's a warrior through and through. So I'm not too sure if he's going to be happy about the truce at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, truce, I put that in quotes. So I'm worried about that.
Well, that's what I felt like with Namora as well, right? She
Interesting.
comes in to say to him, she's like, all I've ever wanted to do is fight next to you. And now you're telling me we're not going to fight? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Who's the king here?
God.
Yeah, I'm a god.
Who's your God?
Yeah.
But you
yeah,
can feel
that's
that, right?
true.
It feels like that's sort of where that's leaving off. I felt like although he sort of tried to quell her fears and he kisses her on the forehead, I don't think she's too happy. And I think you're right about Atuma, who we saw. I mean, the Okoye-Atuma rivalry is a battle of the Titans.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I feel like depending on where they go with this, Namor, the other reason why I'm very excited that Namor got introduced is because he's very connected to the Fantastic Four, be that be an enemy, an ally, or sleeping with Sue Storm.
Oh my.
Spoiler, I guess.
Blech.
Is to see that extra dynamic. We got this layer in the MCU with this movie that, like, Black Panther added this amazing lens into different cultures and appreciating that and showing a diverse team given the resources and safe space to create something amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we got this other layer with this other culture. I'm so excited to see that kind of form,
Mm-hmm.
but also what does it mean for the character going forward? Is he going to be more of a villain, a weird antagonist? Is he going to have his own movie? What would that look like? You know what I mean? It's like where it left was kind of, I guess we'll see.
So I guess that's a good question, right? So if Namor is usually seen as some sort of like antagonist to our superheroes, quote unquote, who is his antagonist?
Atuma.
Right.
Other people
so
in the
that's
sea.
thing, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be, would it be contained in that world?
They're still so separated. I feel like Wakanda was separated enough, but they revealed themselves so people kind of know about them. They're kind of still so separated. So what does that almost mean? Like, who's going to find them, or are they going to make themselves more known, type of thing? I mean, his last words were pretty much like, when people come to Wakanda, they're going to come to us, but we're not going to help them. That's the feeling that I got from them. They're like, they think we're going to help. I'm not going to help them.
I think he still is very much set on protecting his people,
Right,
and keeping it secret. And I think that he is not willing to do anything that would go against that.
just trust the Wakanda. Like, you should have just trusted them in the first place with Riri. Like, T'Challa and Shuri, they told the people, and Okoye, they told people that they existed. It doesn't mean they can't, like, defend themselves.
Well, right. And I also think that going back to Riri for a second, they're like, okay, so listen, she's 19 and really had no idea what she was doing. Like,
No.
she didn't really know what was going on. And he was like, well, kill her anyway.
Yeah.
So that's where he
I
could
love
have
it.
maybe chilled out a little bit.
Just a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
they were intimidating from the jumping out of the water. Like, literally, very intimidating. They had a mission to do it. When they go to get Riri, I guess we could talk about Riri now.
Riri.
Because,
Played by Dominique Thorne.
yes, I loved her. I'm very excited for the Ironheart TV show. I wanted more of her. I feel like it was a soft introduction to her.
Absolutely.
You knew nothing about her, which was fine. The moment with her and Okoye, kind of like when she called her that she had an ashy head,
Mm-hmm.
I just fell in love with her. I was like, this is the right amount of, like, I don't care who you are. I'm going to tell you how it is. But also, like, she's very sweet and extremely smart. I want to see how smart this smartness can go, because she's one of the smartest people in the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to see, like, how far that takes her.
Yeah, and I agree with this sort of being a soft introduction to the character. I mean, at the end of the movie, we see that she has an attachment to a car, and she says, "This is my dad's car." And then it sort of like fizzles out.
Yeah.
We don't hear anything else. So that's really all we know, right?
Saving it for the show.
Yeah, she wants to call her mom,
Yeah.
and her dad, I guess, is gone.
Right.
So I think that's the thing. We got little breadcrumbs, and it's going to be leading us to the show.
Yeah. I loved her initial suit. See, she mirrors Tony Stark a lot. And what's even funnier with the mirroring of it is we know that in the movie he was captured in the cave. He built the silver suit, the first suit, got out. She was captured. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then when she got out, she built another suit and everything like that. So she's mirroring Tony Stark quite a bit.
Right.
Her first suit makes sense. She built it out of car parts.
Yeah.
Right. Second suit was fine. I thought it was fine.
Sleek Pokemon Deoxys. I mean, that is the inspiration for this suit if I've ever seen it.
I think I would have not liked it more if I knew that was going to be her suit going forward. But now that I know that like she could not take that suit with her, I'm like,
Wakanda.
I'm very excited to see what you make next.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting, right? So there's this 19-year-old who now knows like the inner workings of Wakanda and of a completely other secret civilization under the water.
Yeah. Also, is nobody concerned about the professor at MIT that gave the government her plans to track vibranium?
Yes, I think we should all be concerned.
Ross Everett?
I mean,
Everett Ross?
I feel like we need to blame Allegra de Fontaine for getting those plans into the hands of the wrong people.
Okay, well, before we get to them, last finishing touches with Riri, I'm excited to have a character. I'm trying to phrase this correctly without, because she's not replacing Iron Man. She's not. She's not Iron Man, but she fills that kind of like tech smart void that we might not have like in the Avengers or something like that.
Yeah, we got Wanda going crazy. We got Doctor Strange being a zombie.
Vision on some quest.
Wong's hanging out with Madison.
Oh.
We need someone to bring the tech.
Right, that's true. Very excited. I did like her last scene. But again, I think with ensemble cast, some of them kind of... The third act really had to have Shuri and Namor shine as opposed to everybody else in the final battle.
Right. I think they gave us enough of Riri. I mean, when she was building her Wakandan suit, she literally cut out an iron heart.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Hey, she does it in the comics. She can do it in the movie.
Well, I'm just saying, they gave us what we wanted, and they're like,
That's
okay,
true.
watch the Disney Plus series.
Yeah. Very true. Okay. So one of the only things that connects outside of Wakanda Forever to the greater MCU is, is it Everett Ross or Ross Everett?
His last name is Ross. It's Everett Ross.
Okay, Everett Ross, because both of those sound like first and last names.
And they just call him Ross, which is even more confusing.
Oh, God, come on.
Yeah.
And then Allegra de Fontaine. So we know, is creating the Thunderbolts in some way, which we know is a movie coming out. It's weird that Ross... Well, it's... Okay, one, they were married, which blew my mind.
Secrets.
I'm like... Martin Freeman, no.
Not Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
No, well, not that character.
Well, maybe she pulled some little tricks. She seems like a tricky, shifty...
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think their dynamic was really fun. I'm excited to see... They're kind of focusing their eyes on Wakanda. That was like one of the last things we found out about them, or where it left off with them. De Fontaine is really setting her sights on Wakanda. It was pretty much ordered to them, like, we need to just go and get it. We're going to destabilize the entire country. If that cannot be the theme for Thunderbolts, that is insane. If that's the plot of Thunder. Imagine... Wakanda just went through so much, and then we're going to be like, hey, Florence Pugh, go take down Wakanda.
No, not Florence Pugh.
I'm interested.
Why is she building the team, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, I mean, from my knowledge of Thunderbolts, it's villains or kind of killers that want to do good.
Yeah.
This was the first scene that we got with De Fontaine, or the scenes where I was not sure where she kind of fell in the spectrum of good and evil. Like, I know she takes orders and she kind of just takes orders and that's it. Where we have Ross that kind of helps Wakanda out because he knows
again, a bit more moral about things.
Right. And he's like, they saved my life. Also, they're great people. I'm going to help them out. Hello. But so it's kind of iffy. I'm interested to see kind of where that leads, or what we get. Yeah. I love her, though. I think she's fantastic.
I mean, the funniest thing is that when she finally goes to confront Ross and be like, look, you're treasonous. I know you've been talking to Wakanda. She's in his kitchen.
Making peanut butter and jelly.
and arrests him with handcuffs from a drawer in his kitchen. She planted the handcuffs in the drawer first to then arrest
she's
him.
Great.
Because she is, off her gourd.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She bugged the beads that she knew he would pick up.
She said, I'm going to bug these bees. I'm going to leave them on the floor and you're going to pick them up.
And then I'm also going to plant these handcuffs
For later. I'm going to get as much info from you as possible, and then I'm going to arrest you.
Yeah.
I'll leave these next to the turkey baster.
All right. So we've talked about our cast, our characters, the emotional roller coaster that this movie had, up and down. I mean, they were like, oh, you think action's going to happen right now? I'm going to make you cry, and then something's going to happen.
Insanity.
So let's talk about these action sequences, because surprisingly, there was a few. We got car chase scenes, underwater scenes, boat scenes, espionage scenes, more boat scenes, flying scenes.
Lots of flying. One of the ones that really sticks out to me, I sort of mentioned it before, was the Okoye Atuma fight on the bridge.
Which one? The first one?
The first one.
Okay.
When he takes his staff, he plants it into the bridge, he runs her into it and dislocates her shoulder, which she then sets to continue fighting him.
Yeah. I think this movie, I didn't expect the amount or showing of some of the violence in this movie. I liked it because it added to the mature and complex tone of the entire movie. I just didn't expect it. We don't really see that. We don't see shoulders being re-socketed. We don't see somebody getting stabbed in the gut and then walking off of the spear.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, so I loved their feud. I want Okoye and Atuma to like hash it out because, oh my God.
It was like the strongest, like in a way, the strongest warrior from each of the two places.
The warrior. If you had to pick a warrior from both places. Oh.
And every time they saw each other, they would like,
warrior!
Like, you. Let's do this.
I loved it.
Unfinished business.
Oh, so good.
Also, water bombs, hydro bombs.
Are they?
I don't know what they are, but they got a lot of them.
It seems like almost that the water that's inside of them is condensed in some way.
It's like a hydrogen bomb.
Yeah, and then it just expands.
Yeah.
It's not with fire, it's with water. Like,
okay, here's something I have a qualm with. Okay, and it's not really the movie. It's just some poor planning. Shuri, you don't go to fight a people based in water on a boat, ship.
In water?
In water.
Yeah. That had to, for the story, it had to. But the second that they did that, I thought, you know what I thought was going to happen? Is when they were going to leave after doing what they needed to do, like catching Namor and dehydrating him.
Yeah.
Was that it was going to fly away. It didn't.
No.
It was a boat.
These people are friends with whales. Giant whales that work with them to throw them at things.
Okay.
Whale catapults.
That's amazing.
Whalapults.
That's you got there. You finally got there.
I had to work through it out loud.
Oh my, it's so cool. This again, 2 for 2 for Wakanda, for Black Panther. The action sequences, the things that they do in them is so unique and smart to the particular situations or things that those people use in their daily. It's so cool. I love it. Seeing that the Telokans aren't like Aquaman from DC, where like their Atlantis is more mystical and more like bright and colorful, and like the sea life is more humanoid than, you know what I mean? I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. I love having both of them. I was just pleasantly surprised to see that Telokan had like actual orcas, had actual humpback whales that also did the bidding of them. And I mean, can they talk to them? Or do they just like live symbiotically and they were like, well, let's help each other out?
Yeah, we're trying to protect the same ocean. I'm just
so cool. When they flipped them out of the water.
They're on their tails. It was so cool. But that's the thing. You're right. It's like, yes, like that makes sense in some bizarre way.
100%.
It was just, I don't know. But yeah, I thought that was just poor planning in general. But we need to talk about the new Dora Milaje suits.
Okay, so the Midnight Angels.
Yes.
That's what you want to talk about. I love that it was a running joke through the entire thing, and then it turned out to be amazing.
Yeah.
We got Dora Milaje now that can fly around.
and go underwater too.
and do anything
Yes.
they want. I thought it was sick. I love the way it looks. It was so cool.
And it is like sort of again, but it still feels very attached to the culture.
Yeah.
Right when the mask comes off, it still looks like oh man.
They're
The design.
from the comics. So Coates did did Black Panther. I believe it was in 2016. Don't quote me on that. It's Coates's Black Panther. You can read them. So Anike, that's her name, right? Anika, sorry. She kind of becomes one of the first Midnight Angels. There's a chieftain that is abusing children. She ends up murdering him and everything like that, but she did it at night. And she kind of like separates herself from the Dora Milaje and she becomes Midnight Angel. So I love that they didn't do that story, but made it almost the same thing because Okoye kind of got separated from the Dora Milaje, but then Shuri, being the new ruler, was kind of like, well, here you go. And then she recruited her.
Yeah.
Is so cool.
And it is sort of funny though, because like Shuri's like, I went willingly. I'm sorry I got you fired.
But here's a new spear.
Exactly.
Do you like it?
Why don't you come back?
Yeah, she's like, I made a new spear.
Pretty cool.
It's so cool. I love them so much. I love that we got our second confirmed mutant, quote unquote, in the MCU.
He said I had wings on my ankles and ears that pointed towards the clouds. I was a mutant.
Yeah, he said mutant. So we got Kamala Khan and Namor.
Noah and I looked at each other in the theater.
We're mutant.
He said mutant.
I wonder how other people said that. How many other people did?
But there was no.
You know what would have been funny is if Ludwig, the person that did the music, which is, I cannot tell you how much I listen to this day of their soundtrack work, their scores. Phenomenal. In this one, the music was so good, but it would have been funny if it was in the style of the music that's been playing this entire time and it wasn't the guitar.
What other ways can we make the X-Men theme come to life?
I would have loved it. But action, I think that it was well paced. It happened when it needed to. I loved the way that Namor flew through the sky. It was almost like he was stepping upwards to kind of fly, but I like how he could turn on a dime and kind of stop. I'm like, those wings on the feet make sense when they're shown that way. In comics, it doesn't, you can't see that motion.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's like, to see it in motion, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah. And he was so fast in the air, in the water.
Formidable.
Yeah.
Formidable. Possibly strong as the Hulk, which was said in this movie. And
what was so funny was that I think partway through, I forgot I was watching a Marvel movie. So when they said that, I was like, oh, wait. That's a real person in this world.
Yeah, that's a real person. That also, like, M'Baku is mentioning. Like,
yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they all did fight together in Wakanda.
Yeah. It's weird to think about it, but that did happen, and people were snapped and then came back. Like, ooh, it's scary. But I loved, so the final act. Let's talk about the end of this movie. Let's kind of wrap this up, because I feel like we've said a lot about this movie. And it's clear what our rating is going to be.
Hated it.
Yeah.
No.
So when we finally see Shuri perfect the synthesizing of this heart-shaped herb, I love that not only Riri Williams being there, her new kind of like mentor-mentee type thing, but also Nakia is there. And so she was also kind of being the support factor for her. Seeing her take it, not go through the whole ritual thing, which I loved, because she was like, I don't need to do that.
I'm in my lab. It's fine.
If you need to resuscitate me, like, don't bury me.
She's like, put the beads on my chest. I'll be fine.
Yeah. The fact that she saw Killmonger and that Michael B. Jordan was there was insane. Of course he would come back. That was crazy. I did not expect her to see that, but it made sense.
I was just going to say, it made so much sense. She's furious.
Vengeance.
She's hell-bent on vengeance. What other relative would show up?
Yeah.
Of course it's her cousin.
Yeah, that had the same motivations. He was driven by the same exact things. And I think it was important for her to see that, because look what happened to him, Shuri. Like, you're literally going to do the same thing.
And don't forget, him being hell-bent on vengeance is what led to, in her eyes, her not being able to save her brother.
Yep.
But I think in her moment there, she forgot that.
Yeah.
She's blinded by her anger and her fury.
Yeah.
But that was very real. And you know that she knows she's almost ashamed of it because when she comes back, she doesn't want to tell them.
Does not say. Yeah, and
who she saw.
I don't think she really says. We don't hear that she says who she saw because Nakia tries to ask her twice and she doesn't say anything. I really liked her suit, her Black Panther suit. She's Black Panther now. It's a mantle. It can be passed on. She's been Black Panther in the comics. It makes 100% sense. I liked her suit. I think it was a good mix between, and this is funny, Killmonger and T'Challa because Killmonger had the gold.
Right.
T'Challa did not have the gold. He had the silver or all black and kind of more purple. So I liked the mix between the two because she connected to both of them.
Yeah.
I think she's the best of both of them. Very cool. The final scene between them, oh my God.
Between her and Namor?
Yes. That fighting.
That beach scene was incredible.
Oh my God.
She gets a fistful of ankle wing. Oof.
When she pulled that off, I was like, do those go back?
I was wondering the same thing. Is it like a bird? He won't.
Is he a mutant in the way of a gecko where he can grow?
Can he regenerate?
I mean, if he does grow or age slowly, I would think that he has some type of healing factor.
And I think he was sort of flying towards the end. Wasn't he doing like a little skippity-doo?
Well, he has what, like 2 pairs of wings on each side of the ankle, maybe?
I think there's...
It was hard to tell.
I don't know.
So maybe she just grabbed one of them. I mean...
It hurt.
Yeah.
He screamed.
I mean, it was rude. She grabbed it.
So dehydrated.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That final moment where she could have ended it, gotten her revenge, and then finally seeing her mother.
She sees her mom
in the where her ancestors are was so good.
And she literally is like seeing Wakanda and seeing Talokan, and she's seeing side by side how similar they are.
Yep.
And what would this do?
Yeah,
This
and
would create more war.
I like the visual of the reversing of it. It was almost like she's kind of made her decision to not do this, so it was reversing all of the damage that was done. It was good. It was that hero moment that you needed to solidify that this is now a hero. Like Shuri has become Black Panther. She's not out for vengeance. She did the right thing in the end.
Right.
If it's going to bite her in the butt in the end, I don't know. But we will have to see.
I mean, it might not be Namor.
No.
But as we mentioned, there might be some others that...
Florence Pugh.
Not the Pugh.
Yeah, Florence Pugh.
When is she going to realize that she's good and just become the new Black Widow? How much longer are we going to have to wait for that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. We'll see kind of where her trajectory goes.
Dave Fontaine.
All right, we got to wrap this up. We can't wrap it up without talking about the final credit scene. Also, Rihanna's Lift Me Up, perfect to end this movie with. It was so emotional. It was so good.
I got to the point at the end where if I breathed the wrong way, I would have started ugly crying.
Yep.
You know, you're in the theater, you're in a shared space, you don't want to be bawling. And so it was just like very much like a sort of thing and just like tears. But I think I could have made some noises.
Oh, 100%. I was definitely on that verge, and I'm very never usually on that verge.
And so in this story of Shuri, right, like we mentioned earlier, it's loss after loss.
Yep.
And seemingly she is alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just her.
Out of her whole family.
Out of her whole family. Her bloodline is gone until...
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe you wanted
I'm
letting you do the honors.
And go ahead. She goes back to Haiti, and Nakia had told her, you always have a home with me there. So whenever you want to come by and like say hi, you should do that. She ends up doing that at the end of the movie. She does the ritual that her mom wanted to do before Namor kind of ruined it, where you burn the funeral garments to kind of just finally heal. It marks the end of the grieving process. So she goes and does that. And that's where the movie kind of ends.
And we get a beautiful tribute to Chadwick Boseman.
Beautiful tribute. And then we got Rihanna. We got all this stuff. It was very emotional. And then it picks up in the same moment. Nakia comes, but in hand is this little adorable little boy. And I was like, the second that boy came out, I was like, is that your nephew?
Oh my gosh.
So she has a nephew. So T'Challa wanted her to raise the boy outside of the throne, outside of Wakanda. He prepared them for his death, essentially. And she didn't want any of that to be for her,
That's why they
or
didn't
him.
go to the funeral.
That's why they didn't go to the funeral, which was, as soon as like she kind of said that, I was just like, I'm going to cry now. And then his name is T'Challa. She named him after T'Challa. And to see Shuri just kind of be like, he's back.
Right.
Like, I have a part of him back.
She's not alone anymore.
Oh, beautiful.
And this little boy has this beautiful smile, you know, that sort of,
He's so cute.
that echoes Chadwick Boseman's smile, how his whole face lit up when he smiled. It's such a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
For the movie, for the character of Shuri, and it was just the perfect ending.
Yeah. 100. I loved it. I don't think that they could have ended it any better. That was the perfect use of a mid-end credit scene. I did not need anything to be set up outside of this. I didn't want this movie to be like, Marvel this, Marvel that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I knew I was watching a Marvel movie, but like, I was just so engrossed in everything that was happening. I actually wanted the movie to be longer. I felt like it could have been longer, but it ended so like at the perfect moment. Oh, guys, so good. It's so good.
It was phenomenal. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think, like you mentioned before, there was more than enough action.
Yep.
The superhero was there. The heart was there.
I felt like we got kind of what in some of these MCU shows that we watch, or even some of the movies, we're kind of like, this is great, but like, where's the action? Or like, this is kind of weird. Where's the story?
Mm-hmm.
This did a great job of doing both. I mean, regardless if some of the stuff was plot devicey or like whatever, we got great action and amazing story. It was good. I mean, out of Phase 4, best movie out of all of them.
Absolutely.
Out of all of them.
Yeah,
it blew them all out of the water. They did not stand a chance.
Out of the water?
Exactly.
Nice. But was it thrown out of the water by an orca tail?
Sure.
Why not?
Could be.
Do it.
All right. So because we're reviewing this and we've talked about this enough, let's talk about our ABO rating. What do you rate it out of 5?
Oh, 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5. 5 out of 5.
Too.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. Yeah. It gets the same score as Black Panther for me. I love this one. I think they're both fantastic. They both get 5 stars. I mean, this is, I think, one of the only sequels in the MCU where I'm like, both of them are perfect. Don't change a thing about them.
Yeah.
So good. Let us know how you felt about it. Yeah.
I want to know what everybody else thought. Did you also go on this emotional journey? Were you also thirsting after the entire cast?
Yeah. I could not stand it.
Come on, just between everybody, Angela Bassett. Oh, I can't. Everybody's just so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And just the story and the heart.
Yeah.
Oof.
Perfect.
5 out of 5.
This is the Marvel that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Telling all these different types of stories. I wish we didn't have to tell this story.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic that they were able to do this. Let us know what you think.
Please.
Yeah, I think that's it. Until next time, we'll let you guys know what we're doing next.
Comment below.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to A Bite of. Artwork and editing by our own Noah. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at A Bite of Pod and on Facebook at A Bite of. If you have questions, recommendations, or just want to say hi, you can email us at abiteofpod@gmail.com. You can find us on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate and review to spread the word. Hope you join us next time on A Bite of. Bye!